Today, we are going to talk about a little hack within the house hack, using your credit card to your advantage. I don't remember when I first started doing this or if I heard it from somewhere, but I love using my cashback card for fixed expenses on my house hacks. These are expenses that we would be paying for regardless or choose to include with our properties in the rent, such as internet. This is the real reason I started doing this in the first place. Why not just throw it on a cashback card and get a little kickback from it? But what I found is there's actually many more benefits to doing this, rather than just paying with checking or with cash. So on top of the little kickbacks, getting a little bit of cash back after each transaction, it allows us to easily track spending on each property. You get a monthly and yearly statement, which is huge when it comes tax season. The statements show exactly what was spent, when it was spent, and what it was spent on. It's usually broken down into categories. Whether you do your taxes yourself or you hire someone else to do it for you, it's just a very efficient way to see all of your spending in each category. With that, we can make pretty accurate estimations of what future expenses might look like for the next property we move to, especially if it's similar to the current property we're in, which is exactly the case. And it also gives a clear picture of what expenses will look like for each property in the future. It helps tremendously when it comes to budgeting your current property when it comes time to rent it out, also when you're running numbers and estimating expenses for your next property. Now here's a little perk I found with the cashback. We kind of just let the rewards or the cashback accumulate over time and we don't really touch it. Well, as the cashback adds up on your card, this can also be considered a small reserve account for things such as minor repairs or maintenance. Little cherry on top. Now, obviously you're not going to rack up enough cashback or enough rewards to replace a roof or a furnace unless you never touch that cashback for years and years. But it can still be very useful for small repairs and small general maintenance. Your credit score. As you use this card for small fixed expenses, you're very likely going to be under that 1 to 2% credit usage rate that creditors say is the best way to build your credit. As you know, when it comes to purchasing real estate in general, your credit score is super important. So by using your card every month for small expenses, it will really build up your score over time and keep you in good standing when it comes to purchase that next house hack property, or just in general. Regardless of a real estate purchase or not, it's just keeping that score higher. So what cards to get? So I personally use a Discover High Cashback card, but there are tons of cards out there that have similar benefits. When you're selecting a card for this stuff, consider the fixed costs that you plan to include in your rental properties with your house hack strategy. My fixed costs on each property each month are internet, a coffee subscription, and HOA fees. So those three fixed costs are kind of scattered when it comes to those categories, which is why I just took a general high cashback card, like 3% back on all purchases, something like that. But if you decide to include things such as utilities, cable, internet, or a handful of fixed costs in the same category, look for a card that offers high cashback in those specific categories. Some cards offer up to 6% cashback on a specific category that you choose. So just because I use a Discover card does not mean you have to go get the exact same one. You'll likely get better cash back on a card that specifies one specific category you've decided to include in your rent than what I've currently got. Last few things to note and what I would recommend: don't just go and get 3 or 4 cards that specify one specific category and start putting all of these costs on different cards. It could hurt your credit doing this, but it wouldn't hurt to reach out to your lender and see what they would recommend. Last thing that we want to have happen is hurting your credit to the point where we can't afford or can't qualify for the next house hack just because we wanted to get some credit card cash back. Also, it just makes things a little bit more difficult to track. Remember, we want to make house hacking as efficient and less time consuming as possible. I found it is just so much more simple to just put it all on one card and set up auto pay to pay the full amount every single month. You never even have to look at your card or your account. Lastly, look at the card terms. Some of these cards have spending minimums and also could have an annual fee attached to it. You may not reach those minimums with those multiple cards that you have, and the annual fee alone might just eat up all of that cash back you've accumulated. Unless you're just spending racks on these cards for your fixed expenses, avoid cards with annual fees. So that's about all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll put a link down below on the card that I use. Click that link. I think you get like a free $50 credit or statement, whatever it's called. Discover is not sponsoring this video. If you found value in this, you're going to go get a credit card, start using this for your house hacks. Please like, subscribe, share this with your coworker, and we'll see you guys next time.